Today on the Caucus, Liberman and Nicholas Confessore discuss Mitt Romney's fundraising and under-the-radar campaign approach. Also, Michael Shear on Jon Huntsman's recent campaign shakeup and possible changes ahead for the former Utah governor.
So Nick, Mitt Romney clearly has a pretty commanding lead among the GOP presidential candidates in fundraising, but he's raised less than actually a lot of people expected him to raise so far, and it seems like a lot of his big donors from the 2008 race have not jumped in to support him this time.
That's correct. According to our analysis, the majority of his big donors, his bundlers, his state finance co-chairs,
Right.
that kind of stuff, have not signed back onto the campaign this year, which means that there is a broad group of Republican donors and bundlers around the country that have not yet decided who to back, and they include a lot of his big bundlers.
So he's actually had to be out looking for fresh blood, right? He's been traveling around a lot looking for new donors.
Yeah, he's made dozens and dozens of trips to fundraisers, to meet with bundlers. He's even gone to London to meet with some expats who have a lot of money on hand. So he's really making a big
He's
push.
out in California,
That's
right?
right. And what's funny is in California, he is colliding with the only other candidate who might be able to match him in fundraising, and that's Rick Perry, the governor of Texas,
Right.
who has not yet formally declared, but does have access to a network of Republican donors and bundlers in Texas, which is a big fundraising
Right.
state for Republicans. There's a big picture element here, which is that overall you have a very cautious Republican donor class. They want to make Barack Obama a one-term president. They want to beat him. And they are very fixated on that. And a lot of them are just not sold that Mitt Romney is the guy who can
Right.
do it. On the other hand, they aren't sold that anyone else can do it either, which is why you see in general kind of a slow start to Republican fundraising, less money overall than in 2008.
Well, actually, President Obama is raising a lot of money. And he is having some of the same thing where a lot of his big donors from last time and big bundlers from last time are not on board. But he's recruited a whole new group of those people, and he has this amazing small donor network.
Correct.
Right?
I mean, it really shows you what the difference is when you're an incumbent president and you're
Right.
the nominee of your party, aside from whatever, kind of affinity that they kind of have with the president naturally. He only has about a 1 in 5 re-up rate for his bundlers. So only about 20% of his bundlers from 2008 so far have signed on. That number will probably rise, but it just goes to tell you, the Republicans are not the only ones who are having trouble getting these big guys on board. As you said, he has been able to find new people,
bundlers, right.
gay donors especially, Silicon Valley, has courted that community. And you see him trying to cultivate a group of slightly younger tech millionaires and billionaires to be part of a new bundler class for him.
And part of this sort of Mitt Romney having to try and match that and spend a lot of time looking for money means that he's actually been pretty low-key in being out there on the trail in a sort of visible way. He's been kind of ceding the public ground to people like Michelle Bachmann, who've been getting really all the attention.
Yeah, I mean, his strategy, and so far it's been a good one, is I'm the front runner. Almost all his attacks, all his press releases are about Obama.
Right, and he put out a video today, again, which he's not even in.
He's not even in. Yeah, so he's very, a modest candidate at this point. He really wants to stay out of the primary. It's almost like there isn't really a primary.
The exit of Jon Huntsman's campaign manager yesterday, just 2 months into the job, could be a sign of trouble.
It's never good when a campaign loses its campaign manager, and certainly not this early in the campaign season. It was only a month ago that Jon Huntsman launched his bid for the White House in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty up in New Jersey, and now just a few weeks later his campaign manager has left. The campaign says that she left for her own personal reasons. She wanted to get back to her family, has set up the campaign, got it up and running. But the real question that this brings up for the Huntsman campaign is not one of personnel and who's in what position. It's really a question of how do they get traction. Ever since his announcement, Mr. Huntsman's campaign has been essentially flat. He's not really out there on the campaign trail that much. He goes for several days at a time. And more to the point, the rhetoric of his campaign has been very muted. So what the campaign is going to do is they're going to elevate a fellow by the name of Matt David. He's been the communications director. He will now be the campaign manager. And he's a veteran of the kind of message wars of past presidential campaigns, past Republican campaigns. What the campaign is hoping is that by putting him in that position, the message of the campaign is going to get sharper. The message of the candidate, Mr. Huntsman, will get sharper. There will be more opportunities to draw contrast between his Republican rivals and with the president. And that at the end of the day, what this signals is not so much a switching around of positions on an organizational chart, but rather a kind of move into phase two of Jon Huntsman's campaign.